All right, let's talk table tennis. Or do you call it ping pong? Either way, we're talking about a game of incredible speed and mind-bending spin. Over the next few minutes, we're going to take you from just being curious about the game to really understanding its core. So let's jump right in.
So, here's the plan. We'll start with its pretty surprising history. Then we'll get you geared up with the essential tools. After that, we'll cover the rules of the game, teach you the basic shots, and wrap things up with some strategy and safety tips. Think of it as your complete starter pack.
First up, let's rewind the clock a bit. Where in the world did this lightning-fast game even come from? Well, you might be surprised.
Believe it or not, this whole thing started back in the 1880s. It was this, polite after-dinner game for well-to-do Victorians in Britain. They'd use a row of books for net, maybe a champagne cork for a ball, and even cigar box lids for paddles. Yeah, a little different from what we see at the Olympics, right?
And this is where things really start to pick up speed. The big game changer happened around 1900, when they swapped out those corks for celluloid balls. Suddenly, the game is way faster with way more spin. And that classic sound it made? Ping, pong. Well, the nickname just stuck. By 1926, the sport was official with its own federation. And in 1988, it finally hit the world's biggest stage as an Olympic sport.
So now that we know its origin story, let's talk about the gear. What do you actually need to play? The entire game happens right here, on this battleground, and the dimensions are super specific. We're talking 274 centimeters long, 152.5 wide, with a net that's exactly 15.25 centimeters high. And these precise measurements are what allow a pro in Tokyo to play the exact same game as a pro in Rio. It's a totally level playing field.
Okay, next up, your paddle and the ball. Now, the racket, or paddle, can actually be any size or shape you want, but the hitting surface has to be totally flat and rigid. The ball, though, that's where the science comes in. It's a perfect 40-millimeter sphere that weighs just 2.7 grams. It's that feather-light weight that lets players generate those insane speeds and spins, and you'll only ever see it in white or orange, just so you can actually track it.
All right, you've got the history, you've got the gear. Let's get into the good stuff. How do you actually play? Let's break down the rules.
Remember this number, 11. It's the magic number in table tennis. First player to 11 points wins the game. But, and this is a big but, you have to win by at least 2 points. That one little rule is the reason for some of the most nerve-wracking, intense moments in the entire sport. Every single point starts with the serve. And the rules here are super strict, so listen up. First, the ball has to rest on your open, flat palm. Second, you have to toss it at least 16 centimeters straight up. No funny business, no spin. Third, you can only hit it as it's coming down. And finally, it must bounce once on your side, clear the net, and then bounce once on your opponent's side. You nail that, you're in the rally.
So what happens when it gets super close and the score is tied at 10-10? Welcome to deuce. From this point on, players take turns serving 1 point at a time. And you just keep playing until someone finally gets ahead by 2 points to win. This is where you really see who has nerves of steel.
Okay, now for the really fun part. Knowing the rules is great, but hitting the ball is what it's all about. So let's talk about the basic strokes. And we have to start with the most fundamental thing, how you hold the racket.
It seems like such a simple question, doesn't it? But your answer here pretty much defines your entire style of play. And really, there are 2 main ways to do it. And here they are. On the left, you've got the shake hand grip. It's just like it sounds, like you're shaking someone's hand. This is the most common grip in the world because it gives you a great balance of power for both your forehand and your backhand. On the right is the pen hold grip, which, you guessed it, looks like you're holding a pen. This one is really popular with players from Asia and gives you some insane wrist flexibility, especially for killer forehand shots.
Once you've got your grip down, your #1 offensive weapon is going to be topspin. You do this by brushing up and over the top of the ball as you hit it. This makes the ball shoot forward and then dip, like super sharply right after it crosses the net. For your opponent, it's a nightmare. The ball kicks off the table and comes at them fast, making it incredibly tough to handle.
Now the antidote to that crazy topspin is its opposite, backspin, or what a lot of players call a chop. This is your go-to defensive shot. Instead of brushing up, you slice down and through the ball. This makes it float over the net, stay really low after the bounce, and basically just slows the whole game down. It's perfect for breaking your opponent's rhythm and forcing them to make a mistake.
Okay, so you know the history, the gear, the rules, and the basic shots. But table tennis is also a brain game. Let's talk about how to play smart and, just as important, how to play safe.
Look, great table tennis isn't just about hitting the ball hard. It's about being unpredictable. You've got to mix things up, change the spin, the speed, the placement. Your goal is to get your opponent off balance and out of position. Sometimes a surprise drop shot, a really soft tap that barely clears the net, can be the perfect weapon. But most importantly, you have to stay cool and focused, 1 point at a time.
And finally, let's make sure you can play this game for years to come. Because of all the quick, sharp movements, injuries like sprained ankles and tennis elbow can happen, but prevention is actually pretty simple. Always warm up and stretch a bit before you play. Wear shoes with good support. And when you're done, do a quick cool-down stretch. It's a small thing that makes a huge difference.
So there you have it. We've journeyed from a quiet Victorian parlor all the way to the high-stakes world of the Olympics. You've now got the fundamental toolkit for the equipment, the rules, and the basic techniques. The only real question left is, what kind of spin are you going to put on your game?